Permaculture means, at its core, it's a design methodology for creating sustainable human systems based on natural processes. That's the textbook definition. A lot of people have a hard time grasping that, so I tend to just describe it as a method for bringing your life into harmony with nature. Here in Topanga, we, it really applies to every aspect of life. Grew up here, we pretty much homesteaded the property, and it's just been a perpetual work in progress for 30 some odd years. Fumbling around with the permaculture for most of that time and didn't really realize it, but the whole picture kind of came into focus, I'd say, this last year. About 6 months ago, went and took a permaculture design course, and it really just brought the whole college education into focus and gave me like a concrete formula that I could follow sort of step by step. It took me a while to find it. I was, kind of wandering around, not really sure what I wanted to do with it, and all the while I was doing this and I didn't really know. I decided to study environmental studies and biology because if, all else failed, I could always come back here and do something productive with that degree. And so here I am. The potential here is just astronomical. So my goal is to really maximize this potential so that, when people come and they see what's happening here, it's inspiring, and they'll want to take that knowledge home and go and apply it to their smaller, much easier to manage bubble. And, you can create the same thing in your backyard, but, we just have a much bigger palette to work with here. So, money, I think we've all learned through the events of the last few years that, it's largely just a figment of our imagination. So it's nice to cut through that and really get to the source of what we're supposed to be doing. The focus isn't money. It's really about just creating a healthy, fully functional ecosystem. And that's where the true wealth is. One of the cores to any permaculture system is just a water feature. It brings in beneficial insects. It creates that atmosphere that is just promotes the permaculture vibe. Following that, kind of the biggest thing is just holding on to the rain when it falls. So we've been starting to contour the hillsides so that all the rain gets captured and spread out and sunk into the ground and becomes part of the groundwater cycle. And once that water gets into the ground, then that starts these other processes working. You start getting a healthy subsoil ecosystem going and building a healthy layer of topsoil, and then the plants start to respond to that, and then the animals respond, and it just kind of sends ripple effects all the way down through the ecosystem. I want to grow everything and anything that I possibly can here. The more variety and diversity and abundance I can create, the more that will create a just healthy, balanced ecosystem. The more diversity you have, the harder it is to throw things out of balance because everything becomes a self-limiting, beneficial. There's all these relationships that we're just starting to learn about right now. I just want to try and maximize as many of those as possible. Another aspect is the rock formation here is just probably the biggest asset to this property in that it's awesome and huge and beautiful and gorgeous, but it's also its own watershed. It's the top of its own watershed, and it just drains all this water through the property. So, long term, I would like to work on slowing that water down, capturing it, spreading it out into the system, and just transform the whole place into something much more than it is now. One of the things we try to pay attention to in permaculture is the flows of energy throughout the system. So, you want to be aware of everything, from how you capture your water to how you create your food, how you build that soil, how you process your waste. And you want to see that, you want to create these circular systems within your system that start to not only maintain themselves, but also they snowball and they start building on themselves, and the whole system grows, and it starts growing at an exponential rate. And it's actually, these are systems that are already existing in nature, and we're just applying them to our living situation. And so they take care of themselves if you set them up and do them right. And it's less work. In the long run, it's a self-maintaining system, and it's easy. It's just a slightly different way of looking at things than what we normally, how we've been doing it. And it's just taking the processes in nature into account and applying them to our lifestyle. And let nature do the work. We don't have to do the work. We just got to set the proper conditions in the beginning and turn it loose. And the sky's the limit.